Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished and young entrepreneur from Hyderabad, India, Shruti Rawal. Shruti, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for having us.
Thank you. Shruti is the founder of Ewoke. She's a design graduate from the National Institute of Fashion Technology. So, Shruti, let me start by asking you about Evoke. Tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing and help us understand what certified eco-friendly fabrics are and why are they important?
Absolutely. So, I think this question in itself forms the fundamental ethos of why I wanted to start a brand in the first place.
Hmm.
Evoke stands for environmentally woke.
Hmm.
We are a sustainable fashion brand. Like you mentioned, we've set up a studio in Hyderabad. This is where we work out of.
Hmm.
And the fundamental idea was to understand if there could be an alternative to the fashion industry, which, if you know, currently the fashion industry is the second largest polluting industry in the world. It is
Wow.
second only to coal.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly. So this was quite a fact and phenomenon for me to sort of process when I did come across this information
Hmm.
back when I was still finishing design school,
Hmm.
and it was very instantaneously when I knew that I wanted to do something different and I wanted to provide an alternative to this. So, as compared to the traditional textiles, which we commonly have been, wearing over the last few years,
Hmm.
like cottons, polyesters, and silk, we wanted to understand what is the carbon footprint of these textiles,
Hmm.
how are these made, what is the amount of water that is used to grow cotton crop, for example, what are the chemicals, what are the fertilizers that are being used to grow
Hmm.
these crops, and then see what are the alternatives to these
Hmm.
which can have a reduced carbon footprint.
Hmm.
Could we minimize the amount of water? Could we go to a source which uses less water, which uses less chemicals to grow, which means we're able to save on our natural resources
Hmm.
and produce clothes which were equally fashionable, equally in vogue,
Hmm.
but not as polluting to the planet.
Hmm.
Polyester clothes, as you know, they just end up in the landfills. They're not
Correct.
biodegradable.
Correct.
There's no end life to these textiles.
Hmm.
So we wanted to understand if we could make that loop circular
Hmm.
and have an end life to clothes.
Hmm. So tell me a little bit more about the kind of uh, fabrics of fibers that you're working with, because one, of course, you spoke about cotton. And it's interesting, just before you, I had a very interesting conversation with a lady from Australia who's focused only on organic cotton from India. And then you also talk about hemp made from cannabis. So tell me a little bit more about all these eco-friendly kind of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, like you mentioned, hemp, that's one of the main fibers that we work with. It comes from the cannabis plant. Now, what's interesting is cannabis is not legal as a crop to be grown in most parts of India,
Correct.
most parts across the world.
Mm.
But what's interesting is it actually has two species of the plant,
Mm.
one which has a high THC content and hence is illegal.
Mm.
The other species of the plant from which the hemp fibers actually derived, and this has a very, very minimal THC content.
Mm.
So, from cannabis plant is where we get hemp fiber from,
Mm.
and the benefits of hemp are humongous. It is one of the fastest growing crops,
Okay.
which means it is probably using an area of land for only maybe one third the time as that it takes to grow cotton as
Mm.
a crop.
Mm.
The amount of water or the amount of chemicals needed or fertilizers needed to grow the crop are very, very negligible. And hemp also absorbs carbon dioxide
Mhm.
much more than any other agricultural crop. So
Right.
it is actually a carbon sink. It is able to take in all of the carbon dioxide and reduce global warming,
Mm.
as opposed to some of the other crops. So
Mm.
these are some of the environmental benefits of using hemp, which is why we're an avid promoter.
Mm.
What I'm wearing is actually a hemp jacket. I'm wearing something made of the hemp fabric,
Mm.
and it also has a lot of benefits for the wearer.
Mm.
It does not give you any, it's very soft on the skin. It
Mhm.
does not give you any rashes. It's absolutely antimicrobial. So, as compared to maybe a polyester clothing, which could get very, very uncomfortable to wear in a hot
Mm.
place, especially India being more tropical than not for a better part of the year,
Mm.
hemp is actually going to be very comfortable for you to wear throughout the year. So there's multiple uses
Mm.
of and benefits of the fabrics that we're working with, not just from an environmental and sustainable point of view, but also
Mm.
for the wearer and for our skin.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But Shruti, is availability of hemp so widespread now that we've got a lot of availability of fabric which has been transformed into clothes?
So it is actually, this has been one of the challenges that we faced as we've been growing. To have a constant supply and
Mm.
source of the fabric, and also be constantly assured of the fabric and its content.
Mm.
When we say we're working with certified fabrics, that's one of the most important features that we've been trying to make sure that the brand is always working towards, is
Mm.
ensuring the authenticity of the material that we're working with, ensuring transparency in the supply chain.
Mm.
And hence, all of the fabrics are always lab tested within a period of 6 to 12 months to ensure that we're always working with the same quality that we started with, that
Mm.
there are no impurities and no blends,
Mm.
and the consumers can completely trust us with what we are talking about. So every product would come with a certified tag on the clothes, where you
Mm.
can read the properties of these fabrics that you're buying, and there's complete transparency between the end consumer and the brand as well. So
Mm.
that becomes very, very transparent, very, very important today, when we're looking at sustainability as a buzzword. We're looking at everybody trying to get onto this bandwagon of being eco-friendly. But what does it really mean? Are we able to be transparent with the end consumer
Mm.
and making that journey very easy for them to know what they're investing in?
Mm. Mm. Very interesting. But you know, given the fact that when we started a conversation, you were talked about the fashion industry. How is the larger industry, whether it is the fashion business or whether it is the textile manufacturers, how are they adapting to hemp textiles?
I think it is a work in progress
Mm.
currently, and I feel like it will be for a while. Cottons and polyesters are some textiles that we've been working with for over so many years. So everybody has an expertise. We know what are the processes that maybe a fiber needs to go through, or the at a fabric stage, what are the processes that it needs to go through to have a better finish, have longevity, have easy wash care, which is also a very important aspect of a garment's journey. Once it
Mm.
reaches the consumer's wardrobe. So the traditional textiles have definitely been here for much longer. The processes are well defined, and it's easy now to work with these textiles. But
Mm.
for us, we find it to be a work in progress. There's
Right.
a constant journey of learning and adapting to maybe new challenges that we might see,
Mm.
and understanding what are the best techniques to maybe adopt to treat these fibers, treat these fabrics.
Mm.
And I find that at least, amongst all of the vendors that we work with and across the supply chain, people are very, very excited to sort of, be a part of this change, because I think we're all understanding that this is not a fad. This is not a trend. This is not here for, just, a few months, a few years. This is something for the tomorrow. This is
Mm,
something for our future.
mm,
And, if we can adapt this at an early stage, we'll be far more comfortable, going the long mile than, maybe realizing much later. So I
mm,
think everybody through our supply chain has been so responsive, so out there to, want to learn, maybe some techniques that we want to bring to the table and make it a part of their even other processes.
mm.
So it's been quite interesting and
Interesting. Very interesting. But Shruti, tell me, are there any kinds of misconceptions about hemp-based fabrics that you would like to address?
absolutely. I think this is a very a great question that you asked, because there's been a lot of myths around
Mm,
hemp-based clothing and even the other fabrics that we work with. One of the biggest questions is how do we care for these garments?
mm,
People want to know if they can be machine washed. They
mm,
want to know if they have a long life.
mm.
And interestingly, hemp is one of the strongest fiber fabrics
Wow.
out there. And when we say strong, it does not mean that it's hard. It's not jute, it's not rope. That's some of the other things people wonder, that, if you say it's strong, that means it's going to be tough. It's actually strong and very, very soft.
Mm,
It's strong but highly breathable.
mm,
So this has been one of the many great learnings and experiences that our clients have had
mm,
after they've invested in a hemp-based
mhm,
garment.
mm,
And then they've come back for more, because they're like, oh wait, that was the most comfortable, clothing ever. So we want to look at more.
mm.
Second, like I was talking about wash care, most of our garments are absolutely machine washable. So that is the second more convenient thing that has been like a huge stigma in the minds of our consumers.
Mm.
And the third thing that I think people have more often than not anticipated is that sustainable clothing would be expensive
Correct.
clothing.
Correct.
Um, Now, while we are looking at a premium clothing and a high quality clothing, we have been absolutely able to match prices of a Zara and an H&M and a Forever New out there and a Mango out there, where we're able to introduce an entry point of clothes at 2,500 rupees, Indian rupees, and of course provide a whole array of wardrobe solutions, like we call it a 9 a.m. to a 9 p.m. wardrobe, where
Mm,
we have something for an occasion, where we have something for work, where we have something for day dresses.
mm.
So the price range would start at just about 2,500. And that again has been something very surprising for people to hear and come across,
Correct.
that, oh, that's actually very, very affordable. So these are definitely the three things: comfort, wash care, and price,
Mm.
that we've been able to address and as myths around
Amazing.
sustainable living.
Amazing. You know, so many new things I'm learning from you today. My next question is that, whenever it comes to launching any new product, like you have done with hemp-based garments, what goes into convincing consumers that this is a brand that you should buy? It's because it's an expensive process to build a brand.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, creating awareness is definitely the first step of this journey.
Hmm.
uh, we we want to make them a part of what a conscious lifestyle can look like. We want to talk about maybe plastic-free packaging. We want to talk about, if you're just going out there to buy groceries for yourselves, can you go take your own reusable garment, a fabric bag, which you can reuse instead of picking up a plastic bag
Correct.
from, the grocery store.
Mm.
So it's not uh, just about one change in clothing. It is a mindset, it is a lifestyle, and we want to talk about you know if you can make just one change in your lifestyle as a consumer,
Mm.
and it can begin anywhere. It can
Mm.
begin with carpooling, it can begin with like we said, not using plastics. So that creating awareness is very, very important to us. It lies at the heart of building a conscious community.
Right.
The second step is we do a lot of sessions right out of a studio. We host a lot of sessions where we bring in impact-based entrepreneurs from different industries, and we want to have these open house dialogues with
Mm.
people who want to listen in, people who want to share experiences and learn from other people's experiences about what this change could mean like, and that maybe doesn't have to be as difficult or
Right.
uh, as big a change in your lifestyle as we probably thought of in our minds. So that's definitely a second leg of what we want to do. And the third is definitely, very one-on-one conversations with people. We do a lot of pop-up shows, we do a lot of exhibitions which are offline, where we go out there and we interact with these shoppers and consumers. And there's such lovely conversations. I remember this one time, I was talking to someone and we were telling her about recycled polyester that we work with, which is made out of PET bottles.
Mm.
And that's being reused and recycled to make a new textile, which also helps keep these plastic bottles out of the landfills.
Right.
And we reduce our dependence on a virgin material, right? We're able to reuse and recycle something that's already lying around us and in abundance. So she went away and she comes back in 5 minutes with a 5, 6 year old, and she says, "Hey, can you just tell my son, what you just told me?" And
Mm.
that was so exciting for us because we understand that it's going across age groups and it's going
Correct.
across demographics. It's something, like I said, that everybody's actually looking forward to explore as a lifestyle, and just get aware of something new.
Correct.
So these things make it so much more interesting for us to want to delve much deeper. And like you said, it's probably a little bit more difficult than a commercial mainstream brand who's just talking about the product. But for us, it's about the purpose behind the product that we're making.
Shruti, I was just saying, since you mentioned, told me the story of the 5-year-old, I thought I must add that I'm 66 years old and I have a t-shirt and a jacket made out of recycled plastic bottles.
Wow, how lovely is
So we
that?
do have a complete range of age groups now for our store.
Absolutely.
But moving on, I have time for 2 or 3 more questions. Uh, are there any ethical implications of using eco-friendly fabrics like hemp?
I think there's a constant one, like I said, this is going to be a constant journey
Mm.
of evolving. We can never be 100% sustainable. Nothing
Correct.
can be 100% sustainable, right? So what we want to maybe understand and work towards is how can we be a little bit more sustainable than yesterday.
Mm.
And this is going to be a journey for me personally, for us at Evoke as a brand, and I think for everybody out there, what can be more sustainable than what we were doing yesterday, and
Correct.
how can we be a little bit closer
Mm.
to having a reduced carbon footprint.
Mm.
This is what we're trying to consciously drive awareness towards, where we want to understand how can we, like I mentioned, have a little bit more reduced carbon impact, a
Mm.
reduced carbon footprint.
Right.
That footprint is not zero,
Mm.
but can we minimize it? So that is, I feel, a conversation that I keep having every day, before the day ends. I'm like, how can we get closer, in this journey to being more and more sustainable?
Mm.
And we're going to have technology drive us closer to that. We're
Mm.
going to have newer processes, newer dyes, newer printing techniques. That there's a lot of things that go hand in hand, and we're always going to be working towards getting closer in that journey
Mm.
across our value chain, across our supply chains, and there'll never be the one right formula, success formula to this. And I feel like I've made peace with that today. As a very eco-conscious person,
Mm.
the question was always, that we wanted to be 100% sustainable.
Mm.
But you slowly realize that's not going to maybe be the most um, eh, sustainable process as a brand, or
Mm.
the costs would go really high up.
Correct.
Is that going to be made most affordable for, most households? Are
Mm.
we going to be able to have the maximum impact if we're just in five wardrobes? Who
Mm.
can afford that? Versus being, in a country as diverse and as enormous as ours, where we have the potential to actually be in so many more households and in so many more wardrobes.
Correct.
So how can you have a greater impact?
Mm.
By even making the product most viable, uh,
Mm.
get through that first entry point. So I think the question of ethics could be very, very deeply rooted, but
Mm.
for us, the focus is very clear. We want to be more sustainable than yesterday. We want to be more uh, carbon reduced and minimized than some of the traditional ways in which the fashion industry has been working in all of these years. And we feel that we've definitely come a long way in being that alternative to
Amazing.
the fast fashion industry.
Amazing. And my last question to you, Shruti, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. As a young entrepreneur who has built, such a highly focused brand, and you seem to have had your sense of purpose very clear, what would you say are three lessons you would want a lot of our young viewers and listeners like you to take away from our conversation?
I will try to summarize this in 3 points
Yeah.
now, and I really hope, my journey and the journey of our team is something that could share, from our experiences with all the listeners out there and many more. I'm sure the community is always growing,
Correct.
and number one, I think the purpose of your the why of your entrepreneurial journey
Mm.
or your vision is going to form the crux of
Correct.
how far you go.
Correct.
And you will never know where it takes wings. When you least expect it, your idea is going to, be doing wonders.
Mm.
And you will only be able to see through that if the purpose of your brand is, or your idea, or your uh, business or your startup is very true in itself, true
Mm.
to you, close to you, but very true in itself, in its absolute pure form and
Mm.
nature. I think the second, I think probably experience for us and truly grateful for has been the support in our network.
Mm.
When we least saw it coming, there were people reaching out to us, helping us in any way and form.
Mm.
getting us connected with somebody who they thought could help
Yeah.
us, somebody who they thought could, get associated with a brand and handhold us and, help us out in some way.
Mm-hmm.
That trust in your network, when you might have lost touch with the people, you might not know some today, but they're going to come your way and they're going to help you, because everybody out there, I think, has been so kind and so generous with their support. This, I think, has been the second most heartwarming thing that I've seen. And I think the third is, for me personally, has been my support in my family. The kind of support, they're my backbone.
Yeah.
They've been rock solid. My mom works with me at Ewoke. She's been a partner in the business, and such a strong support in any ideas, any experiments, any new things that we want to do. She's supported me even studying design to begin with, not go take up an engineering road or become a doctor, but actually go out there and see what it could be like to study design, become a fashion designer, and then start something which is still taking seed in sustainability and in sustainable fashion, something which is not been the been the mainstream. So I think just that kind of support and faith in my family has been definitely
Amazing. Amazing. Shruti, on that note and your amazing lessons, understand the why of your entrepreneurial journey, because that's so important. The support of your network is very critical, because you never know from where you will get unexpected support. And the third one you said, which is so critical, is the support of family. Thank you, Shruti, for talking to me about Evoke. Thank you for talking to me about hemp-based fabrics. I had very little idea till I had my conversation with you, until I was reading to prepare for my conversation with you. Thank you for talking to me about so many different aspects of what hemp-based fabrics can do for not just our environment and sustainability, but for us as consumers as well. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashutosh. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.